Hey there, it's Mario here, and in this video you're gonna learn how many meals should you eat per day. So what is the best meal frequency to build muscle or to lose fat? So I'm here in the center of Seville, and it's probably gonna get hit by a storm soon. As you can probably see behind me, there's a lot of wind going on, and it's raining as well. So I wanted to come out here and really talk a little bit about this topic, which has so much controversy around it, and a lot of experts just giving out bullshit advice, and a lot of ads still out there. I see them on Google, on Facebook, everywhere, and it's just like, hey man, you should eat 6 meals a day. It just promotes your metabolism, it helps you build more muscle. And then on the other hand, you have guys writing blog posts like 2 meals per day is the best meal frequency ever. You know, you can just do intermittent fasting and it's gonna change the world, right? I mean, it really doesn't exist, right? There's no universal approach for almost anything in fitness. That's the first thing you want to know, right? There's no best one fits all solution for anything, especially not for something related to food, which it's so much variety from one individual to another. So in this video, what I decided, okay, let's talk a little bit about meal frequency, give you guys a matrix, kind of a thought process, how you can figure out your own meal frequency and what is the best for you. So first off, let's talk a little bit about the research. What does the fucking research say? Well, there's a lot of out there on research, and I'm going to leave a bunch of studies in the description below, but one study that I specifically want to mention here is that the study that was done in Maastricht in the Netherlands. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the city name correctly. If you Dutch people are watching this, definitely leave me a comment below if I pronounce that correctly. And what I did in this study, they took a bunch of healthy young males in their 20s, like mid-20s. They're around 14% body fat. They had the same weight for the last 3 months, and they compared, okay, are these guys responding better to like a 3 meals per day versus 14 meals per day? So they really wanted to compare like the extreme ends of like the meal frequency thing, right? So 3 meals a day is not the extreme, but it's kind of the norm, I guess, the standard. And then there's like the 14 meals a day, which is extremely high frequency. So they wanted to compare what are the differences. Is there any difference when it comes to metabolism? Like which fuel source does the body use? Like metabolic differences, body composition, is there any difference? And what they found is that there was almost zero difference in 24 hours. Like within a 24-hour period, there was no difference whatsoever. There was only the effect of satiety that was different between the two approaches, right? So guys reported that, I mean, contrary to most of the marketing bullshit out there, is that they felt fuller with eating less meals. And that is what this study kind of concluded, is that, okay, the guys who ate less meals, they felt a little bit fuller, but everything else, like body composition, energy expenditure, thermic effect of food, which was one of those myths that was around because there was a rat study saying that if you give rats 1 meal per day, their metabolism, like their caloric expenditure will drop in a day. And they tried to apply that to humans, that it didn't work. And long story short, there's no fucking difference, right? Within a 24-hour period between a lower frequency and a higher frequency, aside from satiety, which is a very personal kind of measure, right? It's a subjective viewpoint. Do I feel fuller, right? And it's something that they actually asked the guys, okay, do you feel fuller? And that's something I'm asking you right now. What makes you fuller? Like what makes you feel better? Like what is the better approach for you to maintain consistency? And that is the thing you want to look for first, right? When you design a diet, when you design any diet, so the first thing that you want to look for, like what is my goal? That's the first thing. You want to run a goal. Okay, I want to be specific, measurable, like that's smart goal setting tactic. Like you want to see if the goal is actually like doable. You want to set deadlines, right? And like time bound and things like that. But then once you determine that goal, you want to look at, okay, how many calories do I need to go toward that goal? Then once you determine that and you adjust that over time, you want to determine your macros. Protein is the most important macro when it comes to any diet, either gaining muscle or losing fat. That's the most important macro. You want to determine that. Once you figure that out, then you can look into the meal frequency, and then you try to find the most optimal meal frequency that will allow you to maintain that consistent caloric and macro goal that you have, that range that you have. And that is it, right? That is the fucking bottom line. And what it really comes down to, aside from that, is also your personal preference can change, right? Sometimes, at some periods of the year, you might feel like lesser meals work better for you. Maybe you're busy, maybe you're just don't have time to think about food and you want to eat just 2-3 times per day. That's fine. And what a good thing about the body is that the body is massively adapting to whatever the hell you give it. So if you give it 2 meals per day, it's gonna fucking adapt and you're gonna feel awesome. If you give it 6 meals a day, it's gonna adapt to that as well, right? So it's an adapting machine, and eating is a habit itself. Like every time you eat, there's hormones being secreted that signal your brain, okay, food is being ingested. So it's also a habit. So it's basically what you train yourself to do is that what your body is gonna expect you to do, and then you can kind of adjust that over time. So a lot of people, let's say they start intermittent fasting, they're gonna say, hey, I skipped breakfast, I feel hungry for a week or two, but then afterwards, I didn't feel any hunger because it was fine, right? I just got accustomed to that new approach. And that is really what it comes down to. Are you getting accustomed to a new approach that is more sustainable for you, that is allowing you to maintain that consistency where you can really hit your goals on a regular basis? And that is really it, right? Aside from that, there's really not much you need to worry about when it comes to meal frequency. And there's plenty of competitors out there who go on stage with amazing conditioning. They range from eating 2 meals to like 7 meals a day. Really doesn't make much of a difference for them, and it shouldn't make much difference for you. Even if you're a competitor, you really want to find out what works best for you. I know for me personally, it changes. If I'm on a bulk, if I have to eat a lot of calories, I mean, obviously I'm not going to try to eat like 3,000 calories or 4,000 calories within 2 meals. That would kill my stomach, so I'm going to try to split that into 4 or 5, maybe stimulate that hunger with higher meal frequency to make sure that I can get more of that food in more conveniently. And if I'm on a cut, if I'm doing intermittent fasting, I'm probably going to do like 2 or 3 meals a day to feel less hungry, to make that approach more sustainable for me, because I also have to think less about food, have to worry less about that. And I know I came back from that, background of like a guy who was just eating like 7-8 meals a day, because I believed that marketing bullshit a couple of years ago, and I was like carrying plastic containers. I had this thing called the 6-pack bag, I think it's called. Don't quote me on that, maybe you can find it on Google. It has like these plastic containers in it, and I was carrying like 3 meals with me everywhere I would go, and it was fucking ridiculous. I would have like my nuts on top, and I would even carry nuts to the bar, to the club. And I mean, it's just ridiculous, because I took this as I saw in the magazine, and I think it was the article on the internet. I took that as advice, and I try to adjust my own preference toward that, rather than seeing what works best for me, which the research really came full circle and said, hey, pick whatever is the most consistent approach for you, and don't become a slave to your meal frequency. Don't become a slave to your food. Manage your calories and macros. That's what really it comes down to. A lot of people put so much emphasis on these low ROI things, as I say, like meal frequency, like timing, and fucking supplements especially. That's like zero return on investment, with so much time and effort invested into researching it and trying to find what the fuck works for you. I mean, it's just silly, right? So bottom line here, choose what's best for you, what allows you to maintain consistency. Think about it after you figured out your calories and your macros, and that is fucking it. As far as the video itself, I'm wondering, how many meals per day do you eat? So leave that in the comments below, I'm curious. So write down, how many meals per day do you usually get, and does it make you feel fuller if you eat more meals or less meals? So that's something I'm curious, just a little survey for you guys. And on top of that, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to click subscribe below to support the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.